All right. Hello. How is everyone today? Okay. Well, my name is Shawna Adams, and I am the director of the Northwest Tennessee STEM Hub in Dyersburg, Tennessee. And today I will be bringing to you some information about how our STEM Hub can serve to help K-12 or P-12 educators in our region. And so I'm going to just go ahead and get started. First, though, if you don't mind, if you want to use the chat, you can kind of introduce yourself, tell me who you are, where you're from, what you teach. You can also tell me if you have any challenges right now as far as teaching in STEM. While I'm waiting for those comments, I will say that I have been in a STEM-related field for at least about 20 years. I taught high school biology and chemistry, AP biology, dual enrollment biology for about 15 years, and I have been at the post-secondary level now for 4 years, and I am the director of the STEM Innovation Hub at Dyersburg State Community College. So our STEM Hub serves the Northwest region of Tennessee. So don't see any comments. So we'll just go ahead and move on. If you do have comments, if you do have questions, or if you want to introduce yourself, you could go ahead and just put those in the chat, and I'll check those throughout the presentation today. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right in and talk about the STEM Hub. So, as I said, the STEM Hub is located at Dyersburg State Community College. We have been in operation as a STEM Hub to serve local and regional educators in our area for about 5 years now. Prior to Dyersburg State having the STEM Hub, I think it was ran by UT Martin for just a little while, and then we took over operation, I believe, in about 2015. So the mission of our STEM Hub is simply to provide P-12 educators with workshops and resources, not just training, but also resources that you might need in the classroom that you don't have. We have an extensive lending library that you can check out information or check out any type of materials from, and then bring those back in. We'll talk a little bit more about that throughout this presentation. And if you're interested in using the STEM Hub or any of the resources that we have, all you'll have to do is contact me. I'll facilitate the checkout process for you, and then be sure that you get those materials delivered to you and pick them up. I know as educators, you guys work hard. The last thing that you want to have to do is drive an hour or 45 minutes or wherever you are from Dyersburg State to come out and get materials and then take those back. So I want to take away all of the barriers for you. We'll talk a little bit about that. So our goal, why are we doing this? Why do we exist? The goal is to increase the impact of STEM education in all grades. So probably everyone in our region knows that we're in a very rural region of the state. We have barriers that other regions of the state don't have. We have students that live out in very rural areas, and they don't have access to resources like internet, good connection, or other resources that may help them to succeed, especially in our virtual format that we've had in the last year and a half. Our schools are typically serving some of the poorest students in the state. And we know that, sorry, I got a little sidetracked. I was trying to read a chat there. So we serve students that are typically underserved, under-resourced. Our schools are under-resourced, and we need to try to find ways that we can facilitate helping to increase the impact of STEM education in all grades. So we've got some people here from Crockett County. Michelle Holyfield, I think you were in one of my presentations not long ago, and I still have some stuff to drop off to you, and that will be done soon. We got some people from Huntington. Linda Phelps, Supervisor of Instruction. Thank you guys for joining. And I'm glad that you guys can be here to learn more about how the STEM Hub can serve you. So before I go on, I think I've talked a little bit with Michelle, but with Karen or Linda or Spencer, what are your biggest barriers right now to being able to properly serve your students where you're at in any kind of STEM related activities or presentations? If you don't mind to share that. I know typically for me, when I was teaching in high school, one of the biggest barriers that I had was just financial resources, getting the materials that I needed into my class to serve my students. Even though I taught in a small school district and didn't have as many students as, say, maybe a larger school district, funding was a huge issue. So I was always looking for grants or, just people who would be willing to give away materials or supplies, just any type of way to get information in or resources and material in to be able to reach my students and to serve my students. So yeah, funding is a huge issue. Also, and I'm sure probably every one of you have dealt with this at one time. If you when you were new in the field, you were probably a little more apprehensive about doing new STEM activities in your classroom if you weren't as familiar with the content material as you needed to be. So that's also another goal that we have in the STEM Hub, is to help increase the confidence of our teachers in being able to find easy, simple, sustainable ways in implementing quality STEM programs into the classroom that's not going to be too taxing on the teacher, too expensive, or things that just can't be done. So realistic, sustainable ideas is what we're all going for. So resources and funding, right, and training as well. Training is very difficult, and that's where we come in. And hopefully, as you learn more about what we can do for you, we can work with you and your district to provide any types of training or workshops that you need. So these are the ways in which the STEM Hub can help teachers in any grade and really any subject. You can incorporate STEM across the curriculum. And so innovative workshops, we have had several workshops this year. Interestingly enough, the workshops that we have had this year during COVID, where we've been forced to be all virtual, have been much more successful. We've gotten a lot more teacher participation with virtual workshops. So that's something that we're going to continue to plan to do in the future. I think it's easier just to reach our teachers after a long, hard day of work. The last thing anybody wants to do is have to drive from, say, Huntington to Dyersburg or Crockett County to Dyersburg, and then go back home that night and then maybe back to school the next day. That's just a lot to ask our teachers to do. And I found that offering virtual workshops have been really successful in getting teachers up and able to join and interested and able to be more interactive. We have an extensive lending library. So one thing I would like to ask you guys to do today is at the very end of the presentation, I'll give you my email address. And if you'll touch base with me with your email, I will send you a copy of our inventory that we have in our STEM lending library. This is available for any teacher in all grades to check out any types of materials they want. If they're doing a lesson plan and they wanted to be able to build bridges, we have bridge building kits. Or maybe they're doing a lesson on the function of the heart. Well, we have models of the heart. Or maybe you're learning about drone technology. We have drones. We have drones you could check out. So these are things that you could check out and use in your classrooms, or collaborate with other teachers across the curriculum and maybe do a project together, and then have that as a good resource. And if that's something that you're interested in, I want to make sure that all the barriers are removed. So let's say that you're like, yes, I really need to borrow or, check out 2 or 3 of those drones. Well, then all you have to do is contact me, let me know what you need, and I will work with our library where our lending library is located. And I will work with our librarian there along with you to facilitate the checkout process. And then I will also deliver those materials to your school. And then when you're finished, I will come and pick up those materials from your school as well. That way, it's much easier on you guys to get what you need when you need it without going that extra mile. I know that all of our teachers are working far longer than just in the classroom, and I know that your time is valuable. And I don't want to have to ask any of you guys to do anything outside of your regular day, or your regular duties that would make it more difficult on you to take advantage of the things that we have to offer. We can also offer partnerships and connections. So a big thing with STEM across the board, from primary school all the way up to graduate and beyond, and into the workforce, is having those partnerships and those connections, knowing how to get resources and partners in our schools to work with to allow our students to see all of the wonderful opportunities that are available to them in STEM. Sadly, we are losing jobs every year to other countries. We're outsourcing to other countries to find qualified professionals to fill STEM fields that are here in our country that need to be filled. And the reason is because we're simply not producing enough graduates and qualified professionals to take the lead in these jobs and in these roles. And the problem is projected to continue. Over the last decade, STEM jobs have increased by 30%. They're projected to continue to increase over the next decade. So we have millions of jobs every year in STEM that need to be filled, and we're not filling them just because we simply don't have enough people to fill them. So if we can target our children at young ages and let them see, yes, this is something I could do. This is possible. Oh, that's a cool, job in that field. Then that may open their doors for opportunities in their future to be to major in a STEM field or get training in a STEM field and then be part of the STEM workforce, which is really what we need. And as technology continues to increase, as we continue to have concerns with cybersecurity, you're going to see those jobs just continue to exponentially increase. So this year's impact. So I told you our STEM Hub has been in operation. We've had it at Dyersburg State for about 5 years now. And this year alone, since October of 2020, we have been able to reach I am not. Yes. Sure. Sorry, guys. Okay. Okay. Technical difficulties because I am not a tech wizard. I am a biologist. So this year's impact, since October of 2020 until now, we have been able to help 109 teachers. So we have trained 109 teachers in 9 different school districts. So that's not schools, individual schools, that's just the districts. So we've had 109 teachers in 9 different districts, and we have been able to reach over 3,000 students. So helping to get resources, training, ideas out in the region is super important to be able to help increase interest in STEM and also increase student participation in STEM as well, to get them excited to be in class, to get them excited to learn about something new and cool, and how they can relate it all to either science, technology, engineering, or math, which is really neat. So I'm super proud that we've been able to have such an impact this year in COVID when we're all sitting in our homes, in our virtual offices. But it's been a great success, and we've offered our workshops. What we've done is we've offered our workshops like directly after school, starting at 3:30 p.m. Or the last half of the school day, so that teachers can join in maybe right after school, before they've even left school, if they want to join from their work computers, go into an hour-long or 2-hour-long training, and then go home. All of our training and innovative workshops that we have, we work with our distance education office at Dyersburg State. And every teacher gets continuing education credits. So you will get a certificate to verify the workshop that you've been in, to give you those credit hours that you need. I know a lot of you guys need that for certification or to fulfill professional development in your schools and in your districts. And we can do that. Okay, so here are a couple ways. These are just a couple ideas of how we have actually been successful in our STEM programs this year. So in December of 2020, we worked with the Obion County School District. Obion County has 5 elementary schools in it. And so what the school wanted was they wanted to have STEM kits. And so they wanted to be able to have an activity that would relate to science and technology and engineering and math. And so what I did was I worked with their STEM coordinator at their school, and I came up with 5 STEM activities. So then what I did was we made STEM kits for every single teacher. The STEM kit included every single item that they needed to be able to make that project. The STEM kit also went further than that. It included a jump drive, and on that jump drive, it had all of the lesson plans for every activity, as well as all of the state standards that could be identified from P all the way up to 12th grade. So, one activity, maybe it's the index card tower. That was one of the activities in the STEM kit. So it had the lesson plan made for you, and all of the state standards that would be covered at any grade level. And so that was included in the lesson plans. And so I know teachers don't want to have to go digging for lesson plans or digging for standards. So those were pulled and embedded into the lesson plan. And then there were ideas as well on how it could be modified for each grade level. So what we did was, we're virtual. We couldn't meet in person to go through the STEM kits. So the STEM kits were delivered to all of the 5 elementary schools. So every single teacher in all 5 elementary schools received a STEM kit. And then we had one afternoon, it was a Thursday afternoon, that they had set aside for professional development training anyway, and they logged on. A lot of the screens on the PowerPoint that you see there are off, and that's because they were joining from classrooms or maybe other areas that didn't have video capability on their end to be able to project their image. But then I also had teachers that were gathered in libraries together, and we went through these STEM kits and we made each of the projects. So we went through how to do each of the projects, and we basically just problem solved and went through together, what would you do if you were in 8th grade and you wanted to do this? Or what would you do if these were kindergartners? How could you change this for kindergartners? And it was a really good conversation. And throughout the semester, after December, when we had the training, from then until now, teachers would email me pictures or videos of their students that were working with these activities, whether it was in the class or in an after school STEM program, and just showing how that they were able to either modify or implement the lesson plan and the activity in their curriculum. And it was really well received. So that's something that we could do. Michelle, yes, if you wanted to get information on the STEM kit, absolutely. I can talk with you about that. I'm going to write your name down here, STEM kit, Michelle. So if it's something that you would like to do, absolutely, I can get you a STEM kit. And so in our STEM kit, I can tell you a little bit about what was in it. We had one was an anatomy and physiology activity. And so you used materials to build a hand, and you used cardstock paper and different color strings and different color straws. And then, so you put all the straws in here, and then you put the strings through the straws and then pulled them through the wrist. And it showed you how when you moved each of those individual strings, how it's analogous to how we move each of our fingers. So we went through that lesson. That was a pretty good one. The index card tower was in there. Taking cardboard and nothing but cups and building stacks and stacks and stacks of cups to see how high you could go and stand on them without crushing them. That was another activity in there. The longest paper chain was in there. So giving every student or student group one sheet of construction paper and seeing how long of a chain that they could make. And we had some extremely long chains built, which was really cool. And then I can't remember what the last one was. But if you're interested in a STEM kit or any of those materials, I will be glad to put one together and get it out to you or talk to you about a STEM kit as well. So that was one activity that we did that was really well received. So no one had to leave their school. It was done right after school. All the STEM kits were dropped off at the school. So it went really, really well. Here's another one, and this is one of the biggest ones that we've had this year, a STEM makerspace. So lots of schools don't have a STEM class, but they have classes that want to incorporate STEM activities. And so a STEM makerspace is a good way to do that, like having a mobile makerspace with all of the materials that you might need on it to do different types of projects. So Ben DeChara from Peabody High School led this training for us. He has worked to help Peabody High School become a STEM certified school. They've been very successful at it. They're in their 2nd year of STEM certification through the Tennessee STEM Innovation Network. And they have been extremely, extremely successful. And so he led a 2-hour workshop on what are the things that you need in a makerspace based on what are the needs and goals of your school. And this training was actually held in the last part of the school day, so from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. And lots of teachers were able to join. They got permission from their administrators to be able to join this as part of professional development. And so we had lots of different teachers in there learning about what are the things that you need to think about when constructing a makerspace. How is it that you would use a makerspace? What is the purpose of it? What is a makerspace? And then a really cool thing that we were able to do with some of the funding that we got through Battelle Education was to offer one person in the group a completely stocked makerspace. So we were able to provide one school, and that was Greenfield School. Miss Linda Farmer from Greenfield School won the drawing for that. And so she had all of the materials dropped off to her school for one complete makerspace. This is a workshop that was so successful that we're continuing plans to have this workshop again next spring. So if it's something that you think you might be interested in, just let me know, and I'll make sure that you get all the information for when it's scheduled again. So that was a really cool workshop that we did as well. These are some other workshops. Well, let me see. Is there something else I want to say here? So those are some of, oh, there was another workshop, and it's not on here. I didn't put a picture on here, but another virtual workshop that we had this spring was the use of STEM task cards. And Michelle, I think I've got your STEM task cards still in my car. They just haven't been delivered, but I am going to get those to you. But basically, how to use a STEM task card. And it's just this little card that has information on it. It'll give you a problem or a question, and then it tells you all the different ways that you can implement or modify that STEM task in different classes, so across the curriculum. That was also a very popular workshop. That workshop was given or offered to our participants right after school. So it was on a Wednesday afternoon, right after school. And then all of the participants were eligible to receive their own box of STEM task cards. And Michelle is going to get her soon, I promise. It's just been crazy with our semester winding down and everything going on. When you're in a virtual format, it's a lot more work, and I think all of you probably know that. So that was another really good workshop that we were able to offer throughout this spring. And then there was another one. I don't know that I have a picture of it. Let's see. Actually, I do, and I'm going to go to the last slide and then move backwards to talk here. So this is another really awesome outreach program that we were able to offer this year as well, in the 2020-2021 year. So we, as in the Northwest Tennessee STEM Hub, as in myself and my colleagues, Melissa Barr. Okay, yeah, cool. You're interested in the Makerspace workshop? All right. I'm going to give you all my contact information and have you guys pop me an email after this so I can keep up with who is here and get information out to you guys. This is a really cool workshop that we had. So I was able to partner with the Discovery Park of America out of Union City and work with them to offer a mobile observatory astronomy event. So Dyersburg State Community College has a mobile observatory. If you look in this third picture where you see the table and the tablecloth, well, right behind it you see just a white kind of trailer. That trailer houses a very large telescope, and the telescope is that first picture right there. So it's in a mobile trailer that is specially built for this telescope, and so we can take it to different places. And so what we did was pair up with Russell Orr, who's one of the education specialists out at Discovery Park of America, and he and I were able to bring the mobile observatory to Peabody High School for their Christmas STEMtacular event, and allow the students to see, number one, how do telescopes work? And then number two, we were able to show them images, celestial images like the moon and different stars in the sky through the telescope. So here's what's really cool. You can't really tell it in this picture, but on the side of the trailer, we use that as a big whiteboard. And we were able to hook up a cell phone to the telescope to project the images from the telescope to the cell phone, and then it was projected from a laptop computer onto the side of the trailer. So anybody that was walking by could see on the side of the trailer what we were looking through in the microscope. And we were able to demonstrate that we can actually virtually stream these programs. So at the same time, we were able to hook up all these images for everybody to see there, but we were also able to project it to the Facebook page for the Northwest Tennessee STEM Hub and basically project it live. So now we know that it can be done. And so Russell Orr and I have been working and are continuing to work on a partnership to have some pre-recorded celestial trainings and resources to use for your classrooms. But we're also working to be able to pair up with schools and with the Discovery Park to bring the trailer to other locations to have live outreach programs as well. So we're calling it our Starry Nights Mobile Observatory. The hardest part about working with the mobile observatory is that, of course, everything is weather dependent. But the cool thing is, even if the weather's crappy, we can still bring the telescope out for students to see, and we can still project images from what we have worked on and the pre-recorded things on constellations onto the side. Okay. And technology is wonderful. It always works perfectly every single time. So the even if the weather's bad and it's say overcast and we can't see anything, we could still work to bring the mobile observatory out to schools to demonstrate how the telescope works and how we've used it to have pre-recorded lessons on different types of celestial bodies. So Russell Orr and I are working on constellations that are in the shapes of animals. And in our pre-recorded videos that we're going to have that are shareable to any K-12 educator, he will be talking about the constellation from an astronomy viewpoint, and then I will be talking about the constellation from a biology standpoint, as I'm a biologist, with the animal constellations. So it doesn't have to be just in an Earth and space science class that you would use this. You could use it in just about any class across the curriculum. So if that's something that you think you might be interested in, stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have these recordings up and ready by the end of the summer. And of course, we do have that telescope that we can take just about anywhere and have a Starry Nights program at your school. So I'm going to work my way back now and talk about a couple other workshops that we've had. So prior to COVID, before we were forced to be indoors and away from each other, we had on-ground workshops as well. And before I became the director of the STEM Hub, I offered some workshops and taught some workshops. One of those was an aquatic macro invertebrate workshop. And so we had participants meet up at the Wildlife Refuge in Reelfoot, which is part of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And Tara Dowdy, one of the rangers there, paired up with me, and we took everyone out to different streams and different bodies of water throughout the refuge. And we took our dip nets and we sampled the water for different types of macroinvertebrates. The coolest thing about this happened on April 1st, and it was in 2018. I remember it clearly because it was snowing cats and dogs that day. So only crazy science people will meet at a wildlife refuge in the middle of pouring down snow with their boots so that they can go wading in water to sample the water from sample the water for the different types of macroinvertebrates. And so then what we did was we took them back to the lab or the classroom at the wildlife refuge. We went through all of the samples that we had, and we looked at all of the different types of macroinvertebrates that we could find. So here in the middle is a little picture taken from the microscope of a dragonfly larva. And then what we did was we used a dichotomous key to identify these organisms. And then after we identified the organisms, we use that to look at the biodiversity of the water. And then based on the pollution tolerance of each organism and the number of organisms that we saw, we were able to infer water quality. So that was a really cool workshop. That was a half-day workshop. We had planned after that workshop to go canoeing, but the weather just got worse and worse. So canoeing was out, but we did get to do this cool workshop on the macroinvertebrates. And then another workshop that we had was in 2018. So in June 1st of 2018, we had teachers come out to the Reelfoot State Park. So now we're not at the refuge, we're at the state park. And we learned all about the importance of bats in our ecosystem. And so I also led this workshop. So we had a workshop on the importance of bats in North America. After we had a discussion on the importance of bats, we built bat houses. So all of the participants got to build and take home their own bat house to either put up at their home or their school, wherever they wanted. And then one participant was able to go with a really nice deluxe bat house for their school to put up so that they could hopefully get roosting bats in their school and use that as a teaching and learning tool at their school, which I thought was really, really cool. After this workshop, one of the rangers at the park, whose name is David Haggard, took us all on a 2-hour boat tour of Reelfoot Lake and gave us a really good history of that. So that was one of our other awesome workshops that we had. So we have on-ground workshops when nature allows us to, and then we've also offered virtual workshops as well. We are planning for the 2021-2022 school year to offer most of our workshops as webinars after school. So in an interest in the hopes that we can continue to reach more people. I think it's a little bit easier to reach more people when you're not having to travel to different locations. So these are just some of the ways that we have been able to reach P12 teachers in our region over the last year especially, and then over a couple other years with the bat workshop and the macroinvertebrate workshop. And so we have lots of different things that we can offer to your schools. If you're interested in training, what I'd really like to hear about is what types of training are you most interested in, or do you feel like your school is most in need in? And then that way, that helps us at the STEM Hub to be able to make or design quality workshops that are going to benefit the majority or all of our teachers that join, and thus impact our students, because as we learn new things, we take those back to our students and we teach it to our students, and hopefully we can work with them to really increase their level of excitement and participation, and maybe even help them realize that that might be something that they would really like to do when they grow up. So we've got a few minutes left, and I would like to just ask you guys, do you have anything specific that we could talk about? And or Nicole, you said that you would like to stop in and check out some resources. Absolutely. If we'll be back on campus full time in August. Until then, if you would like to learn more about the resources that we have, just pop me an email. My email's on the screen there, adams@dscc.edu. Also have my office number. I'm not in the office much during the summer at all, so my cell number's on there. I encourage you to just give me a call or a text. If I don't answer, just leave a voicemail and I'll get back to you. But I would love to hear from you, those who joined in today. If you'll just send me an email, I will reply to that email with a list of our lending library inventory. And then if you will just let me know what types of resources that you're looking for or that you're in need of, or, are you a school that's working towards STEM certification, or are you a school that's already STEM certified? Just let me know kind of where you're at and what you need. And we will work to make sure that we can help you help your students better. That's the whole purpose of the STEM Hub. So we have a few minutes left. Does anyone have any questions or anything that I could address here while we're together? Okay, I know that a few of you guys mentioned that you're interested in the STEM kits and about the STEM Makerspace workshops. So I really need to make sure that I have your email address. Just send me your email address and I'll put you on kind of like my service list for teachers. So once we have our schedule for programs for the fall and the spring, I will email out prior to each event, I will email out a flyer with all the information on what the workshop's going to be about, what time and how and where, and what's the login information and all of that. So if you're interested in getting those emails with all of the trainings and the workshops that we're having, or the resources and opportunities that we can share with you, just send me your email and I'll put you on my email list. That way you can make sure that you get it. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you guys for joining in today. I appreciate that you were here and to learn about the resources that the STEM Hub can offer you. And if there's anything I can ever do, just let me know. I'll be glad to help you in any way I can possibly help you to make your STEM programs better. So peace out. Y'all have a great afternoon.